Today, my dear viewers, I am addressing you from the Wisp thicket, right before I get a hand on the Wispfire Lantern. And something you may notice about my silk meter, other than the fact that it is very large, is that it does not seem to regen once I got rid of all my silk. That is because I've made it all the way to the Wisp thicket without beating Bellbeast or getting any other silk hearts. How is that possible, you may ask? Well, I have shown in a lot of videos, but it is very possible to skip Bellbeast using some well-timed and set up skips caused by your own death in the Wormways, and once you make it to Shellwood, you can use some more skips to get your hand on the Cling Grip, and Farloom is pretty much your oyster at that point. Which is to say, you can do almost everything in Act 2 without beating the Bellbeast at all. So she's just going to be trapped there because I decided I wanted to see how bad or good, it could be good, the Wispfire Lantern is when you don't have the passive silk regeneration Team Cherry expects you to have. Team Cherry really does expect you to have that at least 1 bar of silk to regenerate. It's why they made so many things cost silk, from the claw line to the needle in. And it's really bad when you don't have it in a lot of ways, but the Wispfire Lantern, more than all those other things, those required tools, is something that I feel gets fed way too much. It is a greedy tool. It takes your silk passively, it takes a blue tool slot, and those two on their own are just way too much for this tool. If this was a particularly good tool, say it takes silk every seconds, and every 4 silk it takes, it gives you a mini heal. Like, that might be something worth a blue slot. The amount of damage coming out of the Wispfire Lantern is pitiful. And this video, my dear viewer, is here to show you the true power of the Wispfire Lantern when it is not being coddled by infinite silk generation, and when it's not being praised as a great background or passive source of damage. I was the fool who said that this was a great source of damage in the past. I don't think I specifically said it was great, but I made some pacifist boss kill videos, and I was very excited to have opportunities to kill bosses without using the needle in Hollow Knight Silksong, so of course I relied on the Wispfire Lantern heavily. However, as I learned in the creation of this video, when you try to use the Wispfire Lantern for anything more serious than a basic source of passive damage, it fails extremely hard. It fails heavily in even being able to kill the Bellbeast without getting a ton of damage boost to your crafting kit. If you try to kill the Bellbeast with 1 or 2 upgrades to your crafting kit with this late game tool, you will fail. And you will not only fail, you might even fail to get the Bellbeast down to half her health. The second easiest boss in the game, and she can't even be beaten by a literal lantern spawning living wisps of fire. There's just something wrong about that, you know? And sorry to spoil what you will be seeing in the future, but I have to give some commentary over Father of the Flame, everyone's favorite boss, who definitely didn't kill me in this recording. You want to know what Wispfire Lantern is like without passive silk regeneration, dear viewer? It is like Father of the Flame right here. He dies, he gets 1 tiny explosion off, and then nothing. That's the problem with the Wispfire Lantern. It takes away the precious silk you need to heal, to use skills, to use even taunts, and it returns you a pitiful amount of damage, terrible tracking, and just a whole other host of problems. So, that is what this lovely video is about today, dear viewer. I hope you stick around to watch it if you're interested in seeing the true potential of one of the worst blue tools in Hollow Knight Silksong's history. And let's just show you what happens when we try to beat the Bellbeast with it, shall we? We are here, and though I have an entirely full bar of silk right now, you will notice that I still have no ability to regen silk at all. The other silk hearts are available even when you haven't beaten Bellbeast. They're just way harder to get than the one from her. I will be able to get silk from the Druid's Mask, and I also have other defensive tools on to help facilitate that extra HP. Although the yellow tools almost are antithetical to taking damage for the Druid Eyes, but they also let us control damage that we take in case we get overwhelmed and want to decide to take damage at different times. That's the thing with the Druid Eyes. You got to be very methodical about how you take damage so that you're not wasting procs on things like 2 mass kits. Now, the Wispfire Lantern I have has no upgrades to its crafting kit, so all the damage you see here is at its base level. I gave no upgrade to the crafting kit because I was hoping that the Bell Beast, being such an easy boss, would not require any upgrades to beat her. I mean, she's the second boss you face in the game pretty much for everyone who's ever played this game. I forgot to free her. 1 second. Okay, yes. Now she is free. She is the second boss in the game. I had hoped that a late game blue tool, which does damage, would be able to deal enough damage to her without any upgrades. And it's passable. That was 2 hits, and 2 hits did 5 damage. It also gives you a burn proc though. That's 3 more damage. What's worse is the tracking. That jumping attack that Bell Beast did, well, if you're ever trying to do something like this, dear viewer, if you're trying to beat her with the Wispfire Lantern only, you're going to learn to love that jumping attack, because it is the only attack with which the Wispfire Lantern is able to hit her. When she pops out of the ground, she's gone before it tracks. When she runs across the screen, she's still here. The Wisp is way too slow, and its tracking is way too bad to notice that this target is moving. And it in fact was not on the left side of the room. No, that was about 2 seconds ago, Wispfire Lantern. You gotta realize that things can move in the world, you know? Unfortunately, the Wisps are too dumb. I don't understand why the tracking had to be this slow and bad. You have things like the Pale Nails. Those actually track relatively well. The Wispfire Lantern does not. And even in the original Hollow Knight, the Glowing Womb, those things tracked very well. They didn't do good damage. They stole your silk, or they stole your soul, sorry. I've played too much Silksong. But at least the Glowing Womb tracked and hit the enemy usually. It doesn't explode the second it avoids the enemy's hitbox. The Wispfire Lantern does, and it steals so much silk that the only silk I have left is the silk I could generate with the Druid's Eyes by taking damage. It already burned through more than 20 bars of silk. Bell Beast is not even in her second phase. That is... it's a travesty, okay? That was my reaction when I first saw how fighting the Bell Beast with this lantern went. And that's still my reaction right now. Look, I know the Bell Beast is a problem for a lot of bad tools in this game. She's bad against poison, or poison's bad against her. Apparently fire is also bad against her. She is the strongest entity in Hollow Knight Silksong, is what I'm getting at this. So, how many upgrades do we need to our crafting kit to outdamage the BS, dodges, and terrible tracking of the Wispfire Lantern? 2 upgrades to your crafting kit is what it takes to consistently beat Bell Beast with just the Wispfire Lantern. And in case you're wondering, dear viewer, I have the Druid Eyes on for silk regeneration. Weavelight also gives you the equivalent of 1 silk heart of silk. I think people know that normally, but I didn't know that it gave you that even when you have 0 silk hearts on. So it doesn't just speed up your silk regeneration, it grants you silk regeneration if you have none. Of course, I am not doing that. It is against the entire point of this video. We are not hand-holding, we are not giving you freebies. Wispfire Lantern, if you are gonna be called good by me, you're going to have to actually be good, okay? And with 2 upgrades, the damage versus Bell Beast is good. I will not say anything different. Of course, that is damage versus the second easiest boss in this game, but you have to take the victories you can get. And without relitigating the whole fight again, know that by using up all 18 pips of silk, our entire standard bar, we almost killed her. We had to generate 1 more bar of silk to kill Bell Beast. I still don't think that's great, because the damage we dealt was, I forget the exact number, it looked like it was around 30, and 30 times 20 should be around like 600 damage, okay? That just shows you how many misses exist here. And how about we try and fight a boss that's more stable, that stands in one place, huh, dear viewer? I don't want to be seen as unfair towards Wispfire Lantern. Kilroy only fought bosses that of course are going to be terrible versus the Wispfire Lantern. Why didn't he fight stationary bosses? Well, here is one of the more stationary bosses in Silksong, and she's even made of wood, so fire should be super effective against her, right? But we don't really abide by that logic. She does go away, but with her ginormous hitbox, the wisps should have no problem tracking her when she stays up in the ceiling, and she does stay there very frequently. Unfortunately, she also has a lot of ads in this fight, and incredibly oddly, those little spikes, those thorny spikes, whatever you want to call them, stakes, they're counted as targets by the Wispfire Lantern, which means I assume internally the game treats all of these spiky thorns as enemies, because the Wispfire Lantern doesn't target on things that aren't treated as enemies, like other lanterns, you know, in Wisp Thicket. So I guess these are living creatures, these thorns, in Team Cherry's mind. I guess they just made them an enemy object so that they have health bars and can have all the same interactions as enemies, but the lanterns don't have enemies logic. I don't know. I'm saying all this to hide the fact that I'm getting absolutely demolished by Sister Splinter. And the truth is, this is consistent. I still have 2 upgrades here. I went here right after beating Belbeast. I didn't pick up Belbeast so hard, but this is the same state. And it does way less damage against Sister Splinter, because she has damage resistance, where Belbeast had none at all. So even though I died before all of my silk was gone there was never going to be enough silk at our current upgrade level to beat her. We need to go all in. That's right, I pulled out all the stops. You can max out your crafting kit damage, and you can get 3 needle upgrades without freeing the Belbeast, and therefore without getting any silk hearts. All of this perfectly legit, 100% doable in any standard game file. Okay, maybe not all of it, but you gotta admit that's funny, right? Sometimes you just gotta do some things because they're funny. Not because they give you any benefit, but because I like having 10,000 reserves of the blue stuff, like I'm Heisenberg, okay? I just appreciate it. And Hornet would appreciate it too, if she knew who that was, or what TV shows were. And now, with these max upgrades against Sister Splinter, you may think that the Wispfire Lantern would be good. This is a very early game boss in Silksong, and we have a late game tool, now with the absolute maximum damage it could ever deal versus an enemy. Well, guess what, dear viewer? I'm sure you could tell by the way I was leading up to it, but no, it was not easy. In fact, I was recording this earlier today, and it was taking me hours to beat her with this setup. I almost thought about giving up at some point, because so much of what is bad about this tool is its randomness. In the fight like this, everything is random. Sister Splinter could go up and go down. Normally, if you're using your needle or using silk skills like Silk Sphere, you can just break through all these stakes around you, and therefore you don't even have to worry about what Sister Splinter's doing. When you're relying on these singular wisps, which are limited by the amount of silk you have, then you have to have things work out perfectly in this fight. You can't die, and you can't let the wisps throw themselves into all of the stakes before you run out of silk. Your health is a resource that gives you more silk, and silk is a resource that once it's gone, the fight's over. So it just has to hit Sister Splinter enough times, and it doesn't do that much damage because she's very resistant to high upgrades, but it would do just enough damage if it could just stop focusing on the branches that aren't alive and the enemies that are alive but which aren't the boss. It's like doing an escort mission, you know? Like, you just gotta hope and pray that the NPC does what you need it to do, because you can't control it. And thankfully, eventually, it did what I needed it to do. And it's a beautiful thing, you know? When things work out after hours and hours of them not working out. And they ended perfectly. I was on my last mask, with 1 bar of silk left. You can't get much closer of a call than that. And at this point, I figured maybe this is the peak. Maybe this is the pinnacle of Wispfire Lantern. Sister Splinter has almost no HP. She has less than 400. Wispfire Lantern should be able to deal way more than 400 damage, even when accounting the damage resistance that Sister Splinter has. Maybe it's just shown itself to be unredeemable when it comes to any fight where bosses can move 2 inches or where things can be targeted that aren't the boss. Then I thought, what if we just gave it a standard fight, a boss that doesn't move that much, that doesn't have ads? What if we tried this against the Moorwing? Okay? Can you do that, Wispfire Lantern? It is the moment of truth for all you viewers out there. We finally have a boss who is pretty easy to hit, I say as the Wispfire Lantern immediately misses. Doesn't have alternate targets to target onto. Could this be the one boss that Wispfire Lantern can beat without any trouble, without needing to be improved anymore? Not that it can be improved anymore, because I am still fighting the Moorwing with the absolute max upgrades that are available to me, with no silk hearts and no silk regeneration. And the main problem you may see with silk heart, not with silk heart, my goodness, with Moorwing right now is that its health bar is much larger than everything we fought so far. 600 HP. Now, if the Wispfire Lantern was as effective as it was in previous fights, it would be getting a lot of double hits. Sadly, Moorwing flies enough and the Wispfire Lantern misses enough that when it spawns, it is not going to go through Moorwing's hitbox more than once in most cases. Which sadly means that unless we have a miracle, I was going to say miraculous and then I split into miracle. Unless we have a miracle run with the Wispfire Lantern in which it knows exactly what we're trying to do, its AI gets it to go through the Moorwing every time it spawns and then perfectly pinpoint onto it after it spawns, we are not killing this thing with the Wispfire Lantern and no silk regen. I haven't been playing the best in this battle specifically, of course. I've done many other tries with Moorwing. However, the Wispfire Lantern has also not been trying its best. In the absolute best run I was ever able to do against Moorwing, I was able to get it down to 66 health. That's with basically Hornet and the Wispfire Lantern at peak performance. I think it missed 1 shot in that whole fight, and I never got hit by anything I didn't want to. I only got hit for silk generation. I am not going to show you that video because, let's just say it was way too laggy, and sorry if parts of this video are laggy. I'm trying to fix that problem. But there are some more interesting things about the Moorwing fight I'd like to show off anyway. Can I just point out that this entire room being an alternate boss arena for Moorwing is incredibly odd. It's a room with enemies like above you at all times. They can just join in on the boss fight because Moorwing flies. And because this is a room with platforms above you as well, Moorwing, you can just leave the fight. You can jump above Moorwing, or you can kind of get Moorwing to go above the fight. Like, I'm not even talking about the Wispfire Lantern here. Like, we've all seen what's been going on with it. It's been punting at every possible opportunity. It has been missing so badly, and when it's been hitting only once. So I think I've pretty much given up on the chance of the Wispfire Lantern beating Moorwing. It's your limit in skill, buddy. Wispfire Lantern is beating Sister Splinter, and that was a miracle in and of itself that I was even able to get that to happen on multiple tries. So when you bring Moorwing over to these platforms, I do it here just because it's almost a free area where you can, I was going to say not take damage, but apparently you can also target your wisps at enemies outside of the boss fight. Guys, we're trying to have a one-on-one battle here. It's a bout that we're trying to keep between us. Can you not join? And by that I mean, can you not make them join Wispfire Lantern? Can you just please target what I want you to target? Wispfire Lantern could use like a targeting reticle. Like we make this a first-person shooter and we let a radar go on so that we could actually control what's happening. Because at the end of the day, and at the end of this video, that's probably still the worst thing about Wispfire Lantern, is that we don't control a damn thing about it. We don't control when it gets used, we don't control who it targets, we don't control how badly it misses. And that's why it's just bad. It's passive, yeah, and it's the only tool that's really passive because you don't have to do anything for it to do stuff. If only it doing stuff was more useful. By the way, I also wanted to bring Moorwing over here because as you see, he can destroy all the platforms you would normally use in this level. You could just come up with an unwinnable situation, an unplatformable level with Moorwing eventually. And because I've already given up on trying to beat him, why don't I just throw the entire purpose of this video to the wind and put on the Weave Light. I'm sick of you, Moorwing. You've destroyed my room, you've destroyed my faith in the Wispfire Lantern, and for that, I will die, because I know I can't kill you in any way that matters. Craig, it's been a rough day. I've been trying to make something work, it's just not gonna work. I would care for a drink, yes, thank you very much. I'm dying, I'm out of silk. I'm out of time, I'm out of patience. I just need a place to sleep, pass out, wake up, and hope that this terrible lantern has been taken away from me by the time I get out of here. Anyone here can take it. I've been trying to make it work, it just doesn't. I think I need to find my own corner to stab myself full of drugs and sleep off all the drinks I just bought. Thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope it was as insightful as you were hoping it to be. It's just not good, man. It's frustrating to use as a primary source of damage. I know most people don't use it as a primary source of damage. It's also bad as a secondary source of damage. There's so many better blue tools out there for you to use. Use them. Leave this one on the side. Have a good day, everyone.